In this painting exercise, we'll be learning how to paint a waterfall as well as some of the moving water of the river. Now, painting a waterfall is really just negative painting. We're going to be using the white of the paper as our waterfall and painting in some negative space to depict the rocks underneath the waterfall. We're also going to be painting the river water as it's kind of flowing out from the waterfall. And because this demo is all about water, we're going to be just leaving a flat wash on the other parts and not painting in any of the details. So to start, I'm grabbing clear water, and I'm just going to paint everything, leaving this white part out. So you can start anywhere you want. I just decided to start down here for some reason. Make sure that you're using a very light, transparent wash. You can also just add in some clear water to help things move along a bit faster. Okay, from here I'm going to move on to the detail brush so that I can get in between these tiny lines here. That's a little bit of the water that is falling off some rocks. Just leave that out and paint around it. And then the same for the waterfall. There's a little bit here. And then we're going to paint out these spaces that we drew. Alright, that's just the first pass. All we're trying to do is take out the white space. We're going to dry off this layer and move on to the second layer. Alright, we dried everything off, but before we go on to the next layer, we're going to erase out our pencil lines. There we go. And all throughout this demo, we really want to use a very light, transparent wash so that everything looks really nice and flowy. So I'm using the detail brush and grabbing my paint. Just going to go in and start doing some negative painting on the waterfall. So if we look at our reference photo, it looks like there's some rocks here. And then start to put some lines next to each other just to suggest that the water is flowing. Try to keep it very soft and transparent. You also want to make your lines very thin. You can hold it really straight like this, very high up. And then you can get some of these really delicate lines that will suggest water is flowing and moving. Put one right here. Alright, now we're going to make this part a bit more refined. So we're putting a second layer. Swipe that away a little bit. Then we can just blend this to the layer underneath. Okay, we can add a bit here. There we go. Now it really looks like it's flowing down the rock in the river. So some parts are quite dark, and that can give indication that the water is deep. And then, oops, clear water. Just blend that out. Another part is over here. It's a little bit darker. So we're just going to paint. Just painting back and forth to get those water lines, like the water is moving. And then we can use a clean brush and just blend it out. So because we're not using a lot of paint, it's already dry. So rather than using a hairdryer to dry everything out, it's already dry to the touch. Just make sure that it's dry before you go in. Now we're going to do a third layer on some of the in-betweens of the waterfall, going a tiny bit darker, but not too much darker. We're just going to add a little bit of dark here and there. For example, up here, just making it a tiny bit darker. And how about over here? And then maybe here. And this part down here. This suggests that the rock underneath has texture. All right, now let's see the water on the ground. Here is dry, so I'm going to go in here. Just make another layer a little bit darker. Tiny bit, not too much. Here it's a little bit damp, but it's pretty much dry, so it's not going to affect too much. And the same, I'm just going to go in and try to make a little bit more interesting. Here it's wet, but it's okay. It's a little bit damp, but it's okay. So I'm also just going to go in and paint some of that there. Let's blend it out a little bit. Maybe a little bit here. Alright, and so that is how you would paint a waterfall. Painting water falling down is really just negative painting, and then filling in the cracks in between. We did this painting in 3 layers, and we painted this really light and loose so that we can really focus on the flow of the water.